Doctors, are you looking for more financial freedom? I'm sure you are. How would you like to start something that is a powerful, low cost, high impact tool that can give you more influence, give you more help with education, and give you more revenue? What is it? We're going to be talking about newsletters. It's something I know quite a bit about. My newsletter called The Lounge has been going on for nearly 3 years now, and it's one of my assets that I have. And I'm going to share with you how I use it to not only increase my influence, how it's helping me generate more revenue. My name is Dr. Mike Woo-Ming.
I'm Dr. Truong, and I actually have two newsletters. One for our niche in mental health. The other one is similar to the lounge, but it's to really geared towards doctors leveraging their medical expertise online. And we call that the Doctor Boss newsletter. The
All
Mike
right.
is also part of it as well, too.
That's great. And this is going to help you as my fellow physician entrepreneur because, as he said, we're more than just a doctor. We're helping you build your own brand, build your own business, become a thought leader. And in the age of social media, AI, newsletters, where despite what some might think, is matters more than ever. So let's talk about newsletters. Why do we like newsletters? I think the first thing is it helps you control your message. In the age of social media platforms, if you think about it, if you're on Facebook, whether you're on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, they own your own audience. So what happens if it goes down? We've seen this happen with Facebook groups where suddenly, just like a few months ago, suddenly they changed the algorithm. They've removed people's Facebook groups now, and now what do you have? And I've seen people, I know doctors who built their whole businesses around Facebook groups that have lost considerable amount of income because of it. When you have your own newsletter, that gives you control. You control the message. You control what your audience sees. And you're going to get direct access to what's most important to them is their inboxes. What this is going to allow you to do, here's the thing is we check our email daily, right? Probably multiple times a day on there. That's the one place now that you are still getting access to. You can still control. I know some of you are maybe on Facebook, some may not be on it at all. Some may be on LinkedIn. I don't get on LinkedIn all the time too, and I miss things on there. When I have my own email newsletter, I'm allowing my ability to establish myself as a thought leader and to share my opinions without having to be worried about censorship on there. So why do you like newsletters, Anne?
Same reason as you, because I know the power of owning my own email list. Because nobody can tell you what you can and cannot write or shut you down any moment. And I have faced Facebook shutting my account down, and as well as I can't even do ads. I knew since 2021 to build my own asset, which is my email list. And I've been taught by my marketing coach that your email list is your gold mine. And I've been doing that for the last 5 years in building my email list. And in fact, when you do a newsletter, you become like your own New York Times, the Washington Post, because you can put whatever you want, your message, whatever you want in that newsletter, and then you will have subscribers, and it could either be free or it could be paid. But what it is like you are building your own media empire. And so it is now with the advent of AI and the software like Beehive. Mike and I use the software Beehive to write our newsletter in. They have their own internal software that is so easy for you to create a newsletter in a certain niche, and that people are selling their newsletter worth from 20 million to 40 million as an asset. And as doctor, you can create an impact, whatever you're passionate about, whether it's about arthritis or hormone replacement therapy or about menopause symptoms or weight loss. And it's a lot easier than you think. Now, if you're not doing a newsletter, you're really missing out and you're leaving money on the table because both Mike and I really don't spend a lot of time writing a newsletter. And we'll go over and how to structure writing your newsletter. But it doesn't take a lot of time from me at this point for the newsletter, kind of like on autopilot. Now, it doesn't write itself. We have staff that takes care of it, but using the heavy lifting from Chat GPT. And I love the idea of newsletter because it's your newspaper. So you can get sponsors in the newsletter. And in fact, with Beehive, when you first sign up, you become listed so other people can apply to be a sponsor in your newsletter, or you can apply that to be a sponsor in somebody else's newsletter, and then you can get cross referrals subscribers as well. That's how we grew fast. We've only been in Beehive maybe a year. We now have a subscription of, I think, now 20,000 subscribers. And what's good about that is that I can bring the newsletter subscriber all the way to my practice in the CRM in my practice, which we use Dr. Boss CRM to send out emails. And I can also cross pollinate what I do in my practice to the same population that is in the newsletter. Of course, it's cohesive because, I do sexual health. The newsletter is about sexual health for men. I wouldn't do that in the Dr. Boss newsletter. The Dr. Boss newsletter will be cohesive with our YouTube channel, Dr. Boss, and then also with our email automation that we have also in the Dr. Boss CRM. But you see how the cross pollination, your business with the newsletter, and then it goes back and forth. So you really have double the growth and you grow a lot faster. That way, I'm all into efficiency. My mind is always looking at being efficient and marketing and growing and scaling faster. That's why I'm excited about doing newsletters.
Yeah, it really positions yourself as an expert. You can share your own insights, have your own commentary, research. Again, you're unfiltered. But if you want to become the key person of influence in your niche, this is one of the best ways to do it. And it attracts your speaking gigs, media opportunities, JV offers. I belong to a newsletter right now. It's by an author named James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits that you probably heard of. #1 bestseller for years. But despite him being a very successful author, he attributes his newsletter as really his source of wealth because it allows him to talk about his different workshops, different products and services that he sells in there. It all starts from his newsletter. And you can just build on that with your expertise. You can promote your own courses, your coaching, whether you're opening up another telemedicine clinic or another clinic. You can create a funnel for high ticket offer. Another way to do it is sponsored content. I get up probably almost daily for people who want to advertise on my newsletter because my newsletter, The Lounge, is their audience for physicians is a very attractive audience for for advertisers on in there. You can launch your own product launches. So there's a lot that you can do with it. And it is truly a business asset because it increases valuation. As Ann said, there have been, and I just looked this up really quickly on here, there have been big deals where newsletters of all things are being sold for 20, 30, 40 plus $1 million on here. One was known as the Morning Brew. It's kind of like this business investments letter that kind of targets millennials. I think it's valued at $75 million. This newsletter was first started up. I saw an interview from the origin of it. It was started up by basically a couple of University of Michigan students. And their first subscribers is basically they started it in grad school and they told all their friends to sign up for their newsletter. And now valued at $75 million on there. Because people, if you find a niche where people are hungry for content, you've got a great foundation for business. And now you can leverage even more using AI. So, Ann, you want to talk a little bit about that? And I'll tell you my experience.
Yeah, yeah. So how you can do a newsletter is we're gonna build the secret sauce on how I do it. Is you subscribe to Beehive, sign up for a plan, and then the videos that I make in YouTube, we get that transcribed, and then when it's transcribed, we put that into ChatGPT. We give the prompt to ChatGPT that this is the content that talk about, let's say, nitric oxide and how it can improve ED. Write me a newsletter with, you want the top to have a quote, and then you want to have some different talking point bullet, and then you want to embed the actual video there. And then you want to have like little trivia questions. So ChatGPT literally spits it out for us, spits out our newsletter with that prompt. So what we do is that we release a newsletter every week, once a week. And I release 2 YouTube videos. So I put 2 of my YouTube videos on there. We get a transcribe, feed the transcription in there, ask GPT to spit us out a newsletter with those components that I just mentioned. And then that's it. And then we load that into Beehive, and Beehive is so user friendly, kind of like formatted easily into newsletter. And you can also embed the video. And in the newsletter, we have links that go to our supplement store. We have links that go to the coaching program and link to subscribe to our YouTube. So you can really cross market your other social channel in your newsletter. And we have sponsors almost every week, at least one or two sponsors on each of our newsletter as well. And the sponsors, not a lot. Sometimes it's for 100, sometimes for a couple hundred. But hey, a couple hundred a week, that's about 6 to 800 a month. I don't do it for the revenue. I do it to grow our media asset at this point. But essentially, that's what my VA does. I don't touch anything. What I love about that is that once I create the content on YouTube, it's done. I don't have to do anything at all. And that's the same way that we're doing for the Dr. Boss newsletter as well. What about you, Mike? What's your
Yeah.
SOP for your newsletter?
So we're giving away the secret sauce on here. So the lounge has been, I think this is our third year. I can't remember how long it's been. And first ones I was doing it myself. So if you haven't subscribed to the lounge, we could share a link in here. But it's for physician investors and entrepreneurs. And so I was doing it manually at the beginning. And it's basically a composite of not only my information, but I scour the internet on articles that I think would be of interest to for physician investors and entrepreneurs. So I take articles from Entrepreneur Magazine, from Money, from the Wall Street Journal, etc. As long as it doesn't have like a paid window before it, and so it gets between 6 to 10 articles that I think would be on articles I would read, and it compiles it, and then it's usually like a product or a video that I want my users to watch. And then I realized I can use AI to do this, to write the content, and I've trained it to write in the content of how I would write it, a little summary of the article, and then a link to the article itself. Now, to the point is my VA now has learned from my first dozen issues or so, and I trained her on like what articles to be interested in. Now she uses Chat GPT, and we have a search engine, a new search engine that I use. I can't remember the name, to be honest. It's a paid thing. I forget what it is, but it actually scours like articles, and then she reads articles and thinks which ones are interested, and occasionally will email me what I think about it. And then she puts it all together, and it comes out every Wednesday. And it's been great. And I've heard from people who said they really, really like it. And so, yeah, it's a great asset to build, and that I'm going to continue to leverage, because it can be very difficult, as an entrepreneur. If you have an email list, how would you like to be having emails where they're just selling you something? They're just selling you something. You're probably going to unsubscribe to that. You have to have a balance between giving valuable information, valuable content, and then occasionally selling something as a business. And I think a newsletter fulfills that part of great content that you say, I can't wait for the next issue to arrive on there. That's why I love it. And again, we talked about it in our last interview. We talked about building an asset. It's important to build assets. And this is a great way for you to communicate with your audience, as something that I learned, that, recently I was listening to this book. I listen to audiobooks. It's called Keepers of Influence. And it just reminded me that entrepreneurs, unlike most businesses where they want to start a business because they want to sell a product, if you're truly an entrepreneur, you need to understand that it's important to provide solutions, because that's what people want. And this is just another example of providing a solution of something that people will want. So that's why I love it.
Did your VA use ChatGPT? The Beehive AI that they have in Beehive.
Yeah, I don't even know it. That's how long I haven't been using Beehive, because she basically runs the whole thing for the last year and a half. So
You're absolutely right. Yeah, they have their own AI in Beehive. And honestly, I think we use ChatGPT, but I'm like you, I don't really pay attention to it that much. It's kind of been on autopilot. And at this point, with the advent of AI, I couldn't do a newsletter 3 years ago like you. If I had to personally write it and research the internet and write it, I know I wouldn't have the bandwidth to do that. But now with the advent of AI, you could even have a feed, a CSS feed that will go straight into your newsletter. Like, let's say you like a certain information from a certain online source, it can feed straight into your newsletter as well too. So it's easier now than ever to start leveraging online and to start making money online with your medical expertise. The newsletter is just one of it. And honestly, if you sign up for Beehive, we'll put the link to sign up for Beehive here. And full disclosure, it's going to be an affiliate link. We do get a small compensation for it, but we both use the software so much that if you're going to start a newsletter, you should start with that because you can grow fast with cross referral. So check the link for Beehive here. And then also just know that you can start doing this quietly while you have your busy practice or whether you're employed, you're in your own private practice. In this series, we just want to let you know different ways of making money online aside from seeing patient in the office. It's never been easier. If you're not online, you're invisible. So we want to encourage you to do that. Anything else you want to say, Mike, about newsletter?
No, I think it's great. I do want to just for completion, there are other platforms that do newsletters. Substack is probably another one people familiar with, ConvertKit, MailChimp. I've looked at all of them. For me, Beehive is the best because it was started by marketers and they understand marketing. You can even upgrade it where they can even provide you with potential advertisers to helping you monetize your newsletter as well. Just stay committed to it. Just do it weekly. This is a newsletter is a commitment, just like it's creating a membership or creating a podcast. Do it on a regular basis. We recommend doing it weekly, and then start with like a simple format. You could do like a compilation, like an aggregate of articles like mine, or a straight ahead content story lesson and links to products and services like Anne does. But whatever you do, just be committed to it because your voice matters. And I don't want it to get lost in all of the different noise. You would start now, grow steadily that newsletter, and you are in control of your future.
Absolutely. So remember, you're just not a doctor, you are Dr. Boss. And check out our Doctors Online Success. It's our free community where you can join, teach you on strategies and how to monetize and leverage your medical expertise online. Check it out, the link right here. Join Doctors Online Success or URL doctorsonlinesuccess.com. We'll see you in there. Mike is the newsletter king. I just been doing newsletter for maybe the past year or so, loving it. And our mutual coach, Perry Belcher, has I think like 19 or 20 newsletter that his VA is in charge of that. I don't think he very hands on with that as well too. So you can do that yourself too. So having said that, see you in Doctors Online Success, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.